start of week number 2. This is the mobility challenge day number 8. We're going to do one that you are all familiar with today, but we're going to do it for much longer than you are used to doing. We're going to do the deep lunge complex, or the hip opener, or we call it Spider-Man stretch sometimes too. So if you start down on one knee, hands are going to come inside of your leg, and then you're going to stretch this back leg back as far as you can. I'm going to put my top of my foot flat on the ground. From here, I'm going to make sure that I squeeze my butt. That's the most important part of this, because we don't want you hanging out on your spine. So we want to keep the hips engaged by squeezing your butt. That's also going to help you get more of a hip flexor stretch in this back leg. You're probably going to get a pretty big hamstring stretch on the front leg too. That's good. And we want to keep this shin pretty vertical, maybe a knee coming forward a little bit, but we don't want it to be in here because we want it to look like a squat, and I can't squat like that at all. So from here, we're going to do 5 minutes on each leg. So you got to block out a 10-minute chunk of time, which shouldn't be that hard. This could be at your lunch break, it could be at night while you're hanging out, it could be first thing in the morning. This is one of the things that I like to do first thing in the morning. So I'm squeezing my butt, I'm driving my hip towards the ground, and there's a bunch of different things that we can do. We can reach the forearm down, try and load the hamstring a little more. I can walk my hands over and try and come this way, try to move this hip in all sorts of different shapes. And do the same thing, come this way. That feels really good on that hip flex of the back leg, turn. You can drop both elbows down, hang out down here. We can, a lot of you have done this, push and turn away to get a little leverage, drop that open. You do that a bunch of times. My favorite one is to drop down, hug my knee, and then I try and turn my belly button into my heel. We can also do the hip lift stuff here, so hook the toes and try and straighten that leg the best you can. 5 minutes on each side. If you do any of those things, try and do it for at least 6 to 8 reps before moving on to the next one. So don't just do it once and say, oh, okay, is that 5 minutes of that? Spend a little bit of time. The longer you spend in it, the better you feel. The retest for this one is, what does your squat feel like when you go down? So before you go, maybe do a couple bodyweight squats, spend 5 minutes, do a couple squats. I can feel the difference squatting now, my left leg to my right. So then after you do each side, make sure you give it a little test too. So 5 minutes per leg, down in the hip complex. Spend time in it. It's okay to go longer if you want to, but set a clock and stick to it the whole 5 minutes. See you guys tomorrow.